Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. This is Food for Thought, Thoughts If It Were You, and I'm your host, Gentrics. Today, we're going to cover a topic that should have been covered a while back, something that's needed by everybody that, for some reason or another, we haven't developed. We're always saying we don't have enough time for this, or we don't have enough time for that. So today, I'm going to cover time management skills. Think about it. Have you ever wondered how it is that some people seem to have enough time to do everything that they want to do, whereas others are always rushing from task to task, never seeming to finish a dang thing? It can't just be that people have less to do. It's much more likely that they are using their time more effectively. In other words, showing good time management skills. And, time management is the ability to, in a sense, use your time productively and efficiently. You could also think of it as the art of having time to do everything you need without stressing about it. It sounds simple, but it's actually much harder in practice. And today I'm going to cover some of the principles behind good time management for all of you pets at home. Few things, if any, of the things that we need as far as everyday task. All of us, if any of us, never have enough time to do everything that is asked of us, or we want to do, for that matter, or that we think we do. Time management is essentially defined as using your time productively and efficiently. But what about when you're working as productively as possible and you still can't get everything? Better doing that time management as a combination of working productively and then prioritizing your time. In this regard, in other words, or rather, how do I put this? People who are good at time management are good at getting on and doing things. They also, however, are better at prioritizing and provisioning their time accordingly, working out what really needs to be done and then, discarding the other tasks for another day. They can do this because they understand the difference between what is urgent and what is actually important. Urgent tasks demand your immediate attention, but whether you actually give them that attention may or not matter. Important tasks matter, and doing them may have serious consequences for you or others. So the major difference between the two of them is that while urgent tasks demand your immediate attention, important tasks are the ones that you need to have finished regardless of everything else. Okay? For example, answering the phone is urgent. If you don't do it, the caller will ring off and you won't know why they even called. And it might have actually been important. It may also, however, have been an automatic voice teller telling you that you're eligible for some compensation or being missold insurance, or your debit card has fraud for some reason. That's not important anyway. Or, how about this example? You're going to the dentist regularly is important. Or, at least so we're told, but anyway. And it says, they say that if you don't go, you may get gum disease or some other problems. It's important, but see, it's not urgent. If you leave it too long, though, however, it may become an urgent issue because you got a toothache or you're not taking care of your teeth. Other examples would vary, like picking your children up from school is both urgent and important. This is a priority thing. So if you're not there at the right time, they will be waiting in the playground or in the classroom worrying where the heck you are. You may also inconvenience some of the teachers who are there waiting with your child for you to actually get there. But then on the opposite side, reading funny emails or checking Facebook is neither urgent or important. Just think of that as an example. So why is that the first thing you do every day? Think about that. If it's not important or urgent, then it should probably be cut out of your day-to-day life. And think about it. You need to recognize and avoid things that may distract you from getting your urgent and important tasks done. And being able to distinguish between the two is definitely something that a lot of people lack the ability to do. Alright, so like I said before in the last piece, the distinction between urgent and important is the key to prioritizing your time and your workload. Whether at home or at work or studying, doesn't matter. It enables you to work out what to do first, and it can be either left until later or not done at all. So, again, an example: if you leave an urgent but important task, you may find that it becomes unnecessary. How do I put this? There's something called the priority matrix. It can also help you organize your tasks into appropriate categories. It's a 4-square box, okay? Essentially, there's 4 squares. Take a box, split it into 4. On the top left side, you have high important things, your actions to do first, okay? To the right of that, you have your actions to do next, or schedule. On the bottom left of this box, you have the low importance things, actions to do later or delegate, but yet have high urgency. On the bottom right, you have the no actions and don't do, which is the low urgency. As you can see here, the way this grid is set up, everything on the top row from left to right is considered high importance, but they're also sorted accordingly. The actions you do first have a high importance and high urgency, whereas the actions you do next or schedule have a high importancy but a low urgency. At the same time, actions that you can do later or delegate have low importance but high urgency, and then the actions that you just don't do are low importancy and low urgency. This is how you set up the priority matrix, or as it's originally known, the Eisenhower Matrix. Okay? To use the priority matrix, though, it's best to review your tasks on a daily basis. Every day, ask yourself this question: which of my tasks need to be done within the next 48 hours? Those are urgent tasks. Of the urgent tasks, next question, which ones are important? Keep in mind that it's a good idea to list your tasks in order of importance, rather than giving them an absolute important or not important distinction. Next, the final question to ask is, of the non-urgent tasks, which ones are more important? Again, it's a good idea to list those in order, rather than giving them an absolute distinction. Now, using the answers that these questions have given you to allocate the tasks in your priority matrix boxes that you just set up, follow these specific rules. Okay? Each box should contain no more than 7 or 8 tasks for that section. Always start with the do now box. Crucially and emphatically, do not put off urgent, important tasks just because they are unpleasant. It doesn't matter whether you want to do them or not. Sort them according to when they need to be completed. They won't get any better if you procrastinate. If anything, the longer they sit there, the worse it's going to get. As Mark Twain once put it, if it's your job to eat a frog, it's best to do it first thing in the morning. And if your job is to eat 2 frogs, then it's best to eat the biggest one first and get it out of the way. As disgusting as that sounds, unless you really do like frogs, he makes a valid point. No one really wants to eat a frog. But if you have to eat it, eat it. But if you have to eat more than one, you're better off eating the bigger one, as you'll suffer less with the smaller one. See my point? I hope y'all do, because that was a little disturbing for me to try to explain. urgency and or importance of a task that's not so absolute. Okay? Unless you're one of those people who don't believe in absolutes. Only you can decide what you really think is important or urgent. Now, you can ask other people to help you with this, but they're probably going to ask you a bunch of questions to which you'll probably feel. First off, Jenny is the leader of this entire group, so she's the one who's in charge of almost everything that they do and coming up with long-term strategies, plans, and analysis. but at the same time, don't make yourself so busy you're not able to pay attention to what's going on around you. If you're sitting in a meeting listening to someone attentively, but you're allowed to be on your tablet, if you can complete some of the side tasks while you're listening and completing the task at the same time, then do it. If you can't do it, I'd recommend against it, as all it's going to do is create more problems for you. Okay? Next. Don't procrastinate. But do ask why you're tempted. These are the questions that people need to ask. If a task is genuinely important or urgent, get it on with it. Don't just sit there staring at it. If you're procrastinating, there's probably a motivation issue. Ingredients either have to be done or prepped all at once, but put into a pot all at once. You gotta remember